Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is I wish I could say a very beautiful day, but it is a rainy Sunday afternoon. And, I just wanted to pop on here really quickly and say congratulations to our host, Brian Mallard. Brian is actually, it was yesterday. Brian got married, and I think he kind of snuck that in on everyone. And I just wanted to kind of give you a picture of how things were going with him. He looks kind of happy there. And I know if you go onto his Facebook page, which is Brian Mallard on Facebook, then he has a lot of other pictures of the reception and, all that neat stuff. But, speaking to the gentleman that actually is helping me out today, and I said I was going to give him a close-up of his ring. And okay, I'm going to pay for that one. Okay, I know I am, and I told him I was, but I had to do it. Brian, if you're out there, I told you not to watch the show today, man. You're on your honeymoon. Get off Facebook, or you will be in the doghouse. I tried to tell you that. Hey, listen, guys. Once again, today, helping me out are the two gentlemen they do their own podcast, and they are kind enough to take time out of their schedule. And I'm trying to do 50 things at once here, so if you see me ducking around. But they do their own podcast called Moderately Informed. And it is a very, very, interesting podcast, but it is real down to earth. And, a lot of podcasts that we see a lot of times, you have problems in the world and people kind of shy away from it. These two guys run straight to it, okay, and have fun with it. So we want to welcome Jonathan Edwards and Eddie Purrington. Guys, how you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having us, Tim.
So normally when we do our podcast, Eddie intros us as, hey, we're moderately informed. But today is like, hey, we're the show.
They're helping me out, guys. They really are.
It's Moderately Informed on the show.
So, guys, tell us a little bit about your podcast. I mean, what goes on? How do you decide the topics on, I know that on a weekly basis you just have so many. How do you choose?
Basically, we normally pick whatever current event is happening that week that we find the most interesting. I don't want to say the most controversial current event because it's really about what we find the most interesting, but oftentimes it is the most controversial current event just because that's what's interesting.
We're not really a political show, but being 2016 and with the craziness that's going on with all that, it's sort of what it is right now. But we really just like to hit current events, anything that's big. I mean, we did a big one on Pokemon Go. Anything that's trending in the media we're going to hit because there's interesting things to talk about that most media outlets, most shows, most people you hear just don't discuss about certain issues. So we really want to hit those topics from the perspective of just normal guys, what we think about it.
Yeah, I know looking out there right now, especially this being election year, you just have plenty of fodder to just go for.
No shortage of material.
Definitely. Kind of like an SNL. I know that they're hitting it pretty hard too.
Yeah, we're not professional comedians, but these politicians have been making our jobs so easy. They're just so easy to mock furiously. And, that's basically what the description of our show is. If you go to our social medias, two childhood best friends observing the absurd universe around them, and it has certainly been absurd lately.
Yeah, that it has. And I'm trying to go and just stop and say, who are you voting for? Because I'm not going to go there because...
you can. You absolutely can.
Well, no, I can't because as it was revealed lately, this is my home and I don't want like a riot in my front yard, okay? But I had told Jonathan and Eddie, I said, I found something yesterday and I kind of like visualized this is how, it's going to end up being in November because in my opinion, there's just no great candidates out there right now. So it's so funny, people are just kind of like running to their doom at this point. But, I had people up here and I stopped them short of who are you voting for the simple reason that I just didn't want to come from the backlash that might come from it. But, so gentlemen, we talked about your show and I know Eddie and I had talked on Facebook a couple of days ago. And you know, he had said he was going to talk about the dynamic of the show, and I believe that's pretty much what John, you know, explained. How did you guys start the show? You know, I know when I started this show that the reason that I did it, we had Dee Armstrong last week, and she asked why I did it, and I said basically because I had the equipment and I had to figure out something to do with it. I mean, how did you guys start out?
We basically did this show before there was a such thing as podcasts. When we were growing up in our hometown, we would hang out at the Waffle House and just furiously mock politicians and pontificate our different philosophies. Growing up, Eddie's always been very progressive, and I've always been very conservative.
You can say liberal.
And so we would obviously not always agree on things, and we would just sit there at the Waffle House and talk about it and have a great time with it. And then, you know, this podcast thing started happening. We're like, well, we've been doing that for years.
Yeah. And, you know, you got those, I'm not going to say IQ geniuses at the Waffle House, but it's a pretty safe place to kind of express your feelings. And you know what? I'm sitting here looking at these two gentlemen. I've actually watched their podcast myself many times. And by the way, before I go there, tell everybody where. I know you guys have several outlets where they can get your podcast from, because you guys do it on video, you do it, you know, audio, and you pretty much do a great job just spreading it everywhere. So real quickly, tell everyone where they can go. And
You can get the show on YouTube, of course, and we just launched on iTunes recently. That was a big one for us. Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud.
Yeah, that's the main ones.
Wow. So you guys have no excuse not to listen to these gentlemen. What days do you have it on?
The new episodes always come out every Tuesday morning, about 6:30ish in the morning, on YouTube. And if you go to our social media, Moderately Informed on Facebook, at Moderate Info on Twitter or Instagram, we always put the links up every time a new episode comes out.
Okay, and I, you know, I'm looking at these two gentlemen. This is really what I was trying to go into earlier. They are not at all this quiet on their podcast, guys. You have to go, and especially Eddie. Eddie's sitting over here, and he's being so timidly, but you get him on a podcast on a rant. Oh my goodness!
I'll get there. I'll get there.
There's usually on our podcast. There's usually a lot of yelling, ranting, and swearing.
As I said, it is definitely a situation where. It is real talk, I guess I should say, but
now I did want to say a pro tip for iTunes. If you get it on iTunes, it's going to drop probably on Monday night. Mine usually drops then, so you get a little bit early.
Oh, really? I didn't know iTunes had a little bit of a delay there.
I don't know why it does that. I think it's because you can't really schedule on SoundCloud, but it
right.
drops Monday night.
When I upload the episode to YouTube, I can tell YouTube, hey, release this Tuesday morning at 6:30 this time zone. When I upload to SoundCloud, which is the service we're using for our RSS feed, it doesn't give me that ability. So I just upload it at Monday night before I go to bed, so that it will be there Tuesday morning.
Right.
So you might get it if you're chomping at the bit for a new episode. You stay up late on Monday night and get it.
And I believe you just told me that actually, you know, we actually record this live in the studio, but these gentlemen, as I said, they do it in a very unique way. Now, Brian, I'm used to saying Brian here, guys. Excuse me, John. You live here in Columbus, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Eddie.
I live about 30 minutes north of Montgomery, Alabama.
So he actually, and I hope I get this straight. Do you do it through Skype?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he's calling me sir, guys. Don't do that.
I call my little brother sir.
I'm gray, but hey. But
yeah, I'm a Southerner. You know, I call my little brother sir. I call my little sister ma'am.
But, you know, and once going back to what we were talking about, it's really kind of cool the way they do this. Now, I'm assuming that Eddie Skypes in from his house to you. Is that correct?
That's right. And on the episode that's releasing Tuesday, we did our first interview ever. And we interviewed a guitar player from Los Angeles. So he actually Skyped in from Los Angeles, and we had a three-way call going.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I know I did an interview with a young lady that was in Arkansas. She's now in California. So, you know, I didn't do it Skype. I think I did mine through Google Hangouts, but, you know, pretty much the same thing. But, these days with technology the way it is, it's absolutely fascinating that you can just reach out to someone across the country, the world, wherever, pull them onto your show, and you can create just something that you never could when I was growing up.
Well, you remember when you would have live news broadcasts back in the day, and they would have somebody off-site somewhere. There'd always be like a 3-second delay from when you asked the question to when they spoke, and it was just because of bandwidth and stuff. It's to the point now to where that's not as much of an issue, so it's almost immediate. So you can have those kind of conversations, and they don't sound awkward.
Yeah, who actually conducted the interview? I mean, were both of you doing it at the same time?
Both of us. Yeah.
Did you happen to notice? I know when I did mine that they had a monitor on their end, so I actually would have to talk, and there was a little bit of a delay, and this is what made me think of it. That I actually could hear myself coming back through the monitor, so I had to wait for that to die out.
On a normal Skype conversation, you don't really notice that delay because it's the delay is so small with newer technology if you've got decent bandwidth. But then when you go to edit the podcast together,
right,
then you really notice that delay because when you're trying to mix together audio sources, even if it's a millisecond, it makes a huge difference.
Huge. I'm not going to. He said huge. I'm not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
Huge difference.
Huge. But yeah, and I felt bad the first interview I did. It was the one we were talking about because I actually interrupted someone like about 3 times due to the fact that I had to get used to that delay. But
we talk over each other all the time.
Yeah, I do. And with my hearing the way it is, guys, it's just not that great. But hey, listen, we actually want to talk a little bit more with these gentlemen. We're going to go into kind of look at the way the world is, the situation that's going on, just, kind of poke fun at things. And like I said, they're actually in the studio helping me out today just so we'll have something to put out. And, and so there's no telling what direction this interview is going to go. I wish I could tell you, but I know John came in. So what do you want to do? I said, man, I have no idea. We're just going to have to shoot from the hip. But, hey, we're going to go to a commercial real quick, and that will be about 1.5 minutes. We'll be right back. Timeless beauty at the Gypsy Cherub, 3760 Woodruff Road, Columbus, Georgia. Class is back in style.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are actually sitting here talking to the guys from, once again, the podcast Moderately Informed, and they are helping me out this week as Brian is out for a wedding. So, I was speaking with Jonathan and Edwin a little earlier, and we were kind of talking about, what are we going to do? What are we going to fill time with? Because, this is one of these interviews that we just kind of threw together. And, I told them, I said, well, I kind of pick something up that maybe kind of will show the world what it is, why our job is just so easy sometimes. So I saw something as of yesterday, and I'm having to sit here and do 5 things at once, so excuse me, guys. But this is actually some clips that I put together. This is actually, why do you have this job? This is a priest, for some reason, does not like to be touched.
So what is he doing there? Is
Pulled it off YouTube.
he's handing them something, and then
I pulled it off YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. But he doesn't want his hand kissed.
I can't say I blame
kiss-
him.
they want to kiss his ring.
NBC4i.com.
That's like 1,000 people putting their mouth on your hand.
And they can't hear this, actually, but you have a newscaster here, and they're talking about deer, and what does he say? Your rack is just as good as
Jim,
mine.
of course, right?
And boy, she gets offended, and she's just like, obviously you're talking to this guy over here, right? And you know, and Jonathan, being a musician, he can kind of attest to this. Every place you go, you always have this one idiot who's dancing around making a fool of himself. And if you want to know why they invented barriers and stages, this is probably why.
Oh yeah, and pro tip for you. Oh man, elbow strike to the neck. Pro tip for you working musicians out there: that girl dancing by herself in front of the speakers on the PA. Don't talk to her.
Now, this is live TV, live now, and I could not wrap my head around this.
More importantly, though, this is terrible for Rubio.
Oh my gosh, here it comes, ladies and gentlemen.
Arguing that he cannot line up the establishment. That's the same argument that we heard from John Kasich's spokesperson, who essentially called this a nightmare for Marco.
It's kind of cold, I guess.
There's a crowd of thousands gathering here, some of whom are people who arrived here very early this morning. The earliest person to arrive around 7:45 or so is my new friend Charles.
fine.
Charles, why did you come so early this morning, man?
Speaking correctly is so important. You had a guy here sounds like he got marbles in his mouth.
I think they do that on purpose. I have yet to hear a news organization interview somebody out on the street that was intelligent.
Yeah, you know, with us being rednecks, you always get the one in curlers. You know,
That's right.
Jeff Foxworthy used to make notoriously fun of them.
That's right.
You see the tornado, you always got the lady in curlers in the trailer park. So.
I bet they interview a dozen people and they pick the worst one every time.
But you also have to think that, you know, when you have a news broadcast and they're out in the field or they want to go live,
Yeah.
you don't have time to really pick and choose. And most people put them in front of a camera, like
You freeze.
honestly myself, and it's like, I don't, you know, you're not really getting a good judgment of how they are, who they are.
Yeah, I know, but like I said, it just makes our job so much easier because it gives us so much things to make fun of.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And you know, you guys are just as bad about it as I am. So.
Oh yeah, the clip you played earlier before the commercial, where talking about the election and everybody running into the hole, it reminded me of a thought I had earlier this week where somebody posted on social media a video of a guy, and he was vaping the world's hottest pepper. He put the world's hottest pepper in his vape machine and started vaping it. And the first thing I thought of is all the years of my life where media would encourage us, doesn't matter who you're going to vote for, it's just important that you get out there and vote. And they're talking about that guy that vaped that hot pepper. They're talking about those people that are diving headfirst into that hole. Maybe y'all shouldn't vote. Maybe y'all should just stay home.
That's, you know, look, I'll be honest with you. I've always said I don't have a dog in this fight, okay? I really don't. It's, you know, I know you're going to get the, how should I say, the lesser of the two evils speech. But, you know, I have a brother, and he made a great comment one time, which is, you know, vote for the lesser of the two evils is still a vote for evil. And that's just my opinion on it.
I think your comment on that was absolutely spot on. You were talking about not voting for Hillary or Trump because neither one of them lined up with your morals. And I think there was some sort of mention of a third party, and somebody commented on your thread there that a vote for the third party was a vote for either Hillary or Trump, and you should put aside your morals for what's got good utility. And you were like, I won't compromise my morals. And I was like, thank you.
And the problem with that is that's always the discussion. It's always the same exact talking points. You know, if you don't vote for this person, then you're voting against this one, or you can't vote for a third party because they can never win, or it's the same thing every time. And instead, why don't we have a discussion about why we put ourselves in this position, why we always think it's the lesser of two evils, why everybody thinks that politicians are corrupt, but we keep voting for them.
And that, you know, exactly. And you know, I guess I was born in, 64, I believe. And for the first formative years of my life, I remember that, you know, you always had two people and they had different ideas. But you know, they at least they didn't agree, but they would come out. They would tell you, hey, this is what I can do for you. This is what I can do for the country. And they would put it out there and let you make your decision. You know, this year I've seen nothing but, hey, I got 2 hours on national television. Let's see how bad I can make the other guy look instead of what I can do.
That's because neither one of them have really anything to offer other than the other one is terrible. And when they say that, that's one of the few times they're telling the truth.
Yeah, and that's very true. I mean, I saw something last week actually. I was at my job and I looked up at the television and CNN, which is I'll be the one to say it, guy, which is notorious about supporting one side.
Yes,
we'll let you.
That just came out on WikiLeaks.
Yep, and they actually had the crawler underneath the whatever store they were doing that said that 68%, and that's something that blew my mind. 68%, more than half the country, thought Hillary Clinton was distrustful and just really wanted nothing to do with her. Followed up by a story of Donald Trump, and of course, last week, I don't know the exact things that went on, but from what he commented on veterans and people that had passed and Donald. I remember we had Matt Austin on the show, and I think this was around the first time of the first debate. And between himself, Brian, and myself, we were all just making these little, what do you call them, memes, whatever you call them, GIFs, whatever you make.
Memes.
And we were just posting one there, just having a ball. But, I put one of Trump, with a gun shooting himself in the foot because that's pretty much my opinion of Trump. Donald, if you're listening, close your mouth, man. That's the best thing you can do right now.
But he doesn't have to. This is working, and it's amazing to see. Like, the way that he behaves,
right,
that anybody else would think, this is crazy. This isn't who should be leading the country, but it's working. And it's every single day that goes by that his campaign doesn't implode, it blows my mind. And it has nothing to do with him being a Republican, because truly I don't think he is. I think he's an actor. I think he's a used car salesman. And it works. He's so good at what he does.
You got a point. I mean, he has brought a lot of things to the forefront that never were brought there. But, at the same time, he says a lot of things that that in my opinion, shouldn't be said. So,
you look at some of the skilled politicians that he defeated in the primaries. And so it's obviously not about making the correct moves in the Game of Thrones that they're playing. One of the big things that Trump has been doing is he says these things that you think would totally sink his campaign. And as a consequence, the media is like, look at this thing that Trump said that will totally sink his campaign. And it's just, you just see Trump in front of you all the time. Like that commercial that you see over and over and over when you're trying to watch the game.
Yeah.
It just puts it in your brain and you can't get it out.
Well, I'll float this question to both you gentlemen real quick before we go to our second commercial break, and that is, I kind of wonder how much do you think that the candidates are having, as far as how much you think they're hurting their own candidacy, or do you think that the media is having more to do with actually hurting their candidacy, because they love to put those sound bites out there?
I think it depends on the candidate, because you look at Trump and the media has been trying as hard as they can to hurt his candidacy, but it's like it's like a snake eating itself. They're doing his job for him, and then you see the other guys where the media has been able to hurt them by just not giving them the coverage that they deserve.
True, 80.
Well, it's a popularity contest, and the media, like John said, has been trying to hurt Trump, and he's been getting nothing but free advertising this whole entire campaign. That's how he got to where he is now. Like, it wouldn't have happened if the media had not been talking about him constantly. Just go, go, go. That's all they talk about. And there's a lot of scandal there. But nobody cares, because what they're seeing right now is they're seeing what they believe is a man who just speaks his mind. And that's what we need in this country. Okay, yes, I'm glad that people speak their mind. Hillary Clinton speaks her mind too, but we just don't like what she's saying, and we don't like the evidence that shows what she's done. But go back and look at the things that Donald Trump has done throughout his career. Like just recently, he's now wanting to, wage a campaign against pornography. Let's have that discussion. Let's have that argument. But let's not have that discussion with Donald Trump, who's been on the cover of Playboy magazine, who has been at parties at the Playboy Mansion, who is married to a model that has nude photos. And that's the thing. I'm not judging her. That shouldn't be an issue. But let's not be a hypocrite about it. And I keep talking about Trump, of course, because that's kind of where my ire is directed right now. But truthfully, Hillary's no different. I mean, she and the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation and all of their lackeys have been waging a campaign of positivity about the Clintons for decades. And I don't understand how they get away with it.
Yeah, and if you watch our show, Moderately Informed, you will see that there's been several episodes dedicated to our furious outrage at some of the things that's been happening in the Clinton camp lately, and then this is compounded by the decades of scandals that she's just slipped, like Barry Sanders would slip a tackle back in the day. I mean, it's amazing the things that she's gotten away with.
Feel the burn. I'm not going to go there either. Hey, listen, guys. Before we go into anything that, by the way, I did this when Jonathan was here the first time. He actually was here, a couple of months back. My thing on time's not that great. But I said, if you guys have any hate mail, send it to moderatlyyinformed@facebook.com.
Please do, and we will talk about it on the air, I promise. Respectfully.
Oh, okay. All right, listen, guys, we're going to go ahead and do our second set of commercials, come back, wrap this thing up, and let them know where they can find you once again, and when your show's on and so forth. And, guys, stick around. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Catherine Childry with Let's Vocalize. For over 35 years, I've coached vocalists and groups privately. I also perform vocal workshops training choirs. I'd love the opportunity to show you how direction, discipline, vocal health care, and regular practice can drastically improve you, your group, or your choir's performance. Call me at 706-536-6123 or visit us online at www.letsvocalize.com. I'd love to help you offer your best gift.
Yes, Toddy, the chocolate malt in a can.
It's so good hot. It's so good cold.
It hits the spot with young and old.
Yes, Toddy pleases everybody. Delicious chocolate malted toddy, made with rich, real milk, not powdered milk.
So come and get it, everybody. It's time to drink your chocolate toddy.
Delicious.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the show. Like I said, we are going to go ahead and wrap this thing up today, and let these two gentlemen that join me today from the Moderately Informed podcast. We want to kind of drive you guys to there, let them see what you've been missing, and I know that a lot of people have sat there and said, "Hey, Tim, thank you," because they really enjoyed watching you guys. But Jonathan, Eddie, once again, either one of you can take this question. Where can people find you? I know you just answered a few minutes ago, but one more time, just kind of drive it home.
Yeah, if you search for Moderately Informed on YouTube, you can catch all of our video episodes. If you search for us on Facebook, we got a page there that we post all the links to not only the YouTube, but also iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher every time an episode comes out.
Okay, Eddie, any last words you got? I know you traveled a great distance. I feel really bad because Eddie made this great drive and expecting this great podcast, and boy, it's just been a short visit.
No, man, it's fine. I'm glad to come. It's just an hour and a half, plus I get to listen to podcasts on the road. No, for real, what I just really wanted to say is, What we try to do on our podcast, two guys who have been friends for a long time, and there's nothing, well, there might be a few things politically the other could do to make the other one really mad, but
I know what I could bring up, but I'm not.
Well, absolutely, but the thing is, we come from, very
Batman.
Yes, Batman v Superman is an issue, absolutely. We come from very different places politically, and we could be antagonistic to each other, and technically we could dislike each other, but that's ridiculous. There's a lot of people in this country, and, the arguments and the bitterness and the anger that exists between the left and the right, that's what's destroying this country. It's not
right.
the politicians, because these guys, they're going to do what we allow them to do. And until we can come together, left and right, and have honest discussions, and maybe we find common ground. We're not going to solve all the problems, but just find some common ground. We're not going to get anything done in this country. We're not going to get anything done in this world. That's where we come from. We have different opinions, and we disagree regularly. But when you listen to the show, it sounds like we almost agree constantly, because we're not yelling at each other. We're not bickering. We're not mad. We are making fun of stupid people and stupid things on a regular basis that deserve to be picked fun at. And there needs to be some humor there, but with that humor, just some understanding that there are serious issues. There are serious issues in this country. There are serious issues with our politics. And until we come together, it's not looking good for the future.
Very well said, and 100% correct. Actually, you guys remind me, and I don't know if you've ever listened to a gentleman who does radio. I know here in Columbus, I pick him up late at night. His name is Mark Levin.
That name sounds familiar, but I don't believe I've heard his show.
Oh, he just goes into all kinds of rants. I just crack up all the time. You guys remind me of him so much.
Mark Levin's a little, I don't know. He doesn't come towards that middle very much.
No, he's not to the middle. I'm just referring to the rants, not.
But absolutely,
what
he does
it's about.
rant. And I used to manage a bookstore, and his books were events. When he would come out with a new book, it would sell pretty well. So yeah. I'm pretty familiar with Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you probably get them a little bit more from where you're at. I know you get the Birmingham radio? Is it Birmingham?
Oh, man, I don't ever turn my radio on. It's podcast or bust.
Smart man. Smart man. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead on that note and end today's podcast for this. And once again, I know it hasn't been the best show in the world, because I told these guys I am not an interviewer, but we appreciate you tuning in. And once again, guys, thank you so much for coming over and helping me out. Brian, we want to say congratulations.
Indeed. Congratulations, Brian.
Quit watching this show, this playback, and get off Facebook. Go pay attention to your wife, or we'll have to go out looking for that doghouse that I keep telling you about. So with all of us being I don't want to say married, but all of us having a significant other, then you guys know what I'm talking about.
A better half, absolutely.
Yeah, right. And also, Stacy, congratulations. We did say congratulations to you. In the meantime, guys, you want to join us next week, as our guest will be Alexander Six Strings, a very talented musician from Columbus here. Oh, you know her?
No. That's the first I've heard. That's a great name, though.
Oh, yeah, she does. She's actually with my wife and plays at a lot of places around here, and she's a very talented young lady. But so, John, tune in next week and you'll get to see her.
Absolutely.
Hey, guys, in the meantime, y'all have a great day. We will see you next week.
Thanks for having us.